Well, good morning, boys and girls, and welcome back along to my next story time with you all. I hope you enjoyed last week's story and looking forward to this one. Now, of course, this week in school, we are all looking at something called our mental health. Now, it's always very important to be physically active and out and about and playing and using our bodies and bones and muscles to move around, but it's also really important to look after our mental health, and that's kind of what goes on inside our heads and how we feel as well. And at this time, when we're stuck at home and not in nursery and not in school, it can be quite hard because we're missing out on seeing our friends and seeing all the people who are looking after us and caring for us. So it can be really, really hard. So it's important to look after your mental health as well. And one way that people do that is by being kind. And I think by being kind is one of the best ways to look after your own mental health, because if you are kind to others, then they are kind to you as well. So today's story is all about an act of kindness that the main character does in the story. Now, I've got some clues today of who is in the story and who the story is about. Now, beside me here, look at this. Does anybody know what this is? It's not a rug. It's on a hanger. So actually you wear it, and actually, I know it may look like a skirt, there's a little clue there, but it's not. Men wear these sometimes for special occasions. Does anybody know what it is? That's right, it is a kilt, and the person in the story wears a kilt just like this one, a lovely red kilt. So that's a big clue. So the character wears a kilt, and kilts are usually always worn in Scotland, as well. So that's another big clue, is that the story is a Scottish story, and the character has a kilt and wears a kilt. Here's another clue. Oh, it's a box. Now don't worry what's on the box. We've got a deer there, and obviously kind of Scottish themed as well, and it is got a lovely pattern too. But it's a box. Now, wonder why there might be a box in the story, or maybe boxes in the story. Another clue. Another big clue in here as well. A letter. Strange. So, we've got a story, a Scottish story, where the character wears a nice red kilt. There may be some boxes in the story, and something to do with a letter. Does anybody guess what the story might be all about? Well, I'll tell you. Today's story is all about Katie Morag. Katie Morag. Now, she was one of my most favourite book characters when I was growing up, and I know lots of you like her stories as well. And in the story that I'm going to tell you today, Katie Morag does something really kind, okay, a really kind act, but she makes a wee bit of a mistake with this act. It does involve boxes, okay, and it does involve letters. The story is called Katie Morag Delivers the Mail. Wednesdays were always hectic on the Isle of Struy, for that was the day that the boat brought mail and provisions from the mainland. So it's on the Isle of Struy. One particular Wednesday was worse than usual, since little baby Liam was cutting his first tooth. His first tooth was coming through, and both Mr. and Mrs. McCall were in a very bad mood. All right, said Mrs. McCall in exasperation. I'll take Liam upstairs to quiet him down. Katie Morag, you take the mail to the houses across the bay. There are 5 parcels, 1 for each house. The one with the red label is for Granny. Pleased to escape and pleased to help, Katie Morag set off. She loved any excuse to go and visit her granny. She lived all alone on the far side of the bay. But it was a hot day, and Katie Morag had stopped for a moment to paddle in a little pool beneath the Redburn Bridge. when suddenly, splash, she slipped on a slithery stone and fell into the water, mailbag and all. Oh dear, wailed Katie Morag, looking at the 5 soggy parcels. All the addresses are smudged, and I don't know which parcel is for which house. Only Granny's parcel was still recognised by the red label. Then, because she was so frightened and ashamed, Katie Morag did a silly thing. She ran the rest of the way to the other side of the bay and threw a parcel, any parcel at all, except the red one, onto the doorstep of each of the first 4 houses. Nobody saw her. Still sobbing, she ran onto Granny's house. "Well, this is a fine bourach you got yourself into, Katie Morag," said Granny, when Katie Morag had explained what she had done. "Still, at least you've given me the right parcel. It's got a spare part for the tractor that I've been waiting for. I'll go and get the grey old lady going while you dry yourself up. Then we can try and sort out this whole muddle." Granny had her head under the bonnet of the tractor for a long time. Occasionally, Katie Morag heard muffled words of anger, and she thought the angry words were waiting for her at home. Then, suddenly, with a puff of black smoke, the tractor sputtered into life, and they set off to go round each of the 4 houses in turn. The first house belonged to the lady artist. She had been expecting tiny thin brushes for her miniature little paintings that she does, but the parcel Katie Morag had left on her doorstep contained 2 enormous brushes. "They're bigger than my painting board," she said in disgust. The second house was rented by some holiday people. They had ordered fishing hooks from a sports catalogue, but the parcel had been full of garden seeds. "We can't catch fish with daisies and lettuces," they complained. At the third house, Mr. McMaster was standing by a big barrel of whitewash, holding the tiny little paintbrushes from the lady artists should have got. "How can I paint my walls with these fiddly little things?" he asked. In the fourth house lived Mrs. Bayview. "That stupid shop on the mainland! Where are my seeds? Flowers can't grow out of these," she said crossly, waving a packet of fishing hooks in the air. After much trundling back and forth, Katie Morag finally managed to collect and deliver all the right things to all the right people. Everyone smiled and waved and said, thank you very much." By now, it was getting dark. Katie Morag thought of the long journey home. She would be very late, and her parents would be so bad-tempered these days because of Liam and his noisy teething. "Granny, would you like to come back for some tea?" she asked. Katie Morag half hid behind Granny as they walked in the kitchen door. But, to her surprise, everyone was smiling. Liam had cut his first tooth at last, and all was calm. "Thank you for helping out today, Katie Morag," said Mrs. McCall. "Isn't she good, Granny?" "Och, aye," said Granny with a smile as she looked at Katie Morag. "She's very good at sorting things out, is our Katie Morag." And she said no more. So, that was our story of Katie Morag. So Katie Morag did do a kind thing. She really did try. She was helping out her mum and dad because her poor little baby brother was obviously cutting his first tooth and he was making so much noise and they had to look after him. So she thought, I'll be really helpful, very kind, and go and deliver all those parcels. But She had a little mistake, she had a little accident, she fell in the puddle and everyone got smudged up, and she tried to do her best. She still wanted to deliver their parcels and they got a bit muddled up, but hey ho, in the end, she managed to get it all sorted out with her and Granny's help, and everyone was happy and everybody got what they wanted. So that was our story for today. So I'm hoping that you this week will think about being kind and doing some kind things at home as well. Maybe you can help in the house as well, but make sure you help in a good way. Don't make any don't make any mistakes, any accidents, but at least you're trying, and you are trying to help, and you are showing that you're being kind. Okay, so being kind is so important. So be kind to each other, be kind to your parents, but be kind to yourself. Okay, you make sure that you have some fun time and nice time for yourself. Now, I hope you enjoyed the story this week, and I look forward to reading another story next week. Okay, have a lovely time, everybody. Bye.